In this chapter, we are going to talk about how to calculate the center of mass. Later, its graphic definition will be fundamental in order to install the so-called orientation star or 8-sector star in Feng Shui system. In fact, when the orientation star will be positioned, we must have had the center of mass yet, in order to translate the star, centering it in the center of mass, and then orienting it in the magnetic axis. But we will analyze this better in the following chapters that will be linked to the compass method. Now, rather for the form method, it will be enough simply to see where the center of mass of the house stands, and then do some interesting diagnosis and general analysis. So, coming to the point, how can the center of mass be calculated? In order to answer this question, it's very important being to comprehend that in an architectonic structure, a building or a flat, often spaces are not well squared, for the reason that there are some lacks of surpluses. Before talking about center of mass, we have to clarify this concept, otherwise it will be difficult to comprehend the following analysis. When can we say that a house has a lack of surplus? Let's look, for example, at this simplified draw. We can observe how general shape is principally due to the major area below. Let's draw the axis of this area. We can say that if the analyzed part stands inside this center line, then we will call it surplus. In contrary, if this part stands outside of this center line, as to say it is passing to the other side, we will call lack the remaining part, still in respect to the general structure. Therefore, in order to understand if we have got a lack or a surplus, we have to divide and break down the map in a geometric way and observe this concept of areas and weights. In ancient times, the concept of lack and surplus was not considered. Then these methods have been put into effect in function of different modern housing typologies, more and more complexes. A building map that leaning to squarey can be associated to a body which is well stabilized respect to its center, and for these energies flow in harmonious way inside. In reverse, an irregular structure with corners will create an irregular, non-homogeneous, non-fluid movement of the qi, which in Chinese language means thin power. This will create also an energetic unbalance inside such a kind of house. It's suggested for this to create regular shapes during the planning. In ancient times, this fact was always considered. In natural world exists a symmetry shape, even if this symmetry is not always perfect. A man's face, for example, is not symmetric in its two parts. If in nature existed a perfect symmetry, life itself would not exist. So, regular and equilibrated by nature shapes allow a continual energetic exchange. For this to create too many articulated shapes can generate both functional and planning usability problems and disharmonic resonances that enter in the inhabitant's weave. So we have to pay attention to not create a cacophonic musical space instead of an harmonic one. Finally, we can say that lacks and surpluses in different levels create a kind of energetic destabilization in the space. During my static seismic studies, I realized that the structure of more irregular houses suffer larger damages and disasters. This is obvious for the reason that seismic energy, not founding a stability of shape, creates splits and breaches, especially in the weak points of the structure. It's interesting to put thin energy and static energy in comparison, for the energetic containment theme. Subsequently, in the compass methods, we will see how lacks or surpluses create a defect of an excess of energy in the house that now always will be negatively valued. We will also see how it will be important to create harmonic relationship between various shapes and spaces of the house.